Hello, everybody. What's going on? This is Average Discussion. Thank you for joining me. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. I haven't been on here in a while. I haven't done a lot of things, um, but it's good to be back. It's good to be back. Yeah. So I'm not sure if you guys had the chance to look at the Facebook page. Well, you know what? Let me back up some. Let me back up some. This is a completely different intro because you know what? I have new equipment now. I guess I don't need these. You guys I don't need those. You guys aren't talking to me, so I can just talk. Um, yeah, I got new equipment. Got a new computer that can actually keep up with what I'm trying to do. So that's good. That's beneficial. Um, but then on top of that, I had to go get a new mic. So like I planned on doing some stuff, but I don't know. I guess my stuff was too outdated, and I don't know the proper ways to update them. So here we are. I got the camera going. Got a nice blurred background so you guys don't see my room. Right? I think it looks pretty cool personally. Um, but yeah, here we are. So thank you for joining me today on Average Discussion. If you followed the show long enough, you know what it's about. If you're new here, thank you for being here. I usually do gas prices, but it's like 340, 350 roughly a gallon. I don't know, just in case the end of the world happens, and the only thing left to reestablish what you can exploit people for general commodities. This day in history, which is September 24th. Is it 24th? Dang, time flies. September 24th. It's about 75 degrees probably. Maybe a little less, maybe a little more. I don't really know because I'm inside for once. Usually I'm in Studio Charger or Studio Silverado, but today I'm in Studio Bedroom. And a lot of that is to do with the fact that I have a computer that works. So that part of it is very promising to me. Today's episode is going to be talking about the hoods of reality, and I'll get into a little bit of what that is moving forward. But basically, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's the hoods of reality that we wear, and it's a completely random topic. Not gonna lie. I was sitting at work the other day, and I had my hood up, and everybody just kept thinking there was something wrong with me. And so I started looking into it, and lo and behold, now we have an episode. But again, I don't know if you saw the Instagram or the Facebook page earlier today, but I'd posted the thing about. Let me pull it up real fast, just so that I don't lose my train of thought in what I'm referring to, because that would be weird, right? But oh dear Lord. Okay, so um, a Republican congressman said basically that one pistol clip can change the balance of power. Congress is wholly unprepared for a mass casualty event. Now, if you haven't seen it, please head over there. Check those out. Instagram, Facebook, Average Discussion. Just look us up. You'll find me. Somewhere. Maybe not. I don't really know. Maybe you won't find me. That's the beauty of the whole thing. Maybe you won't find me. But moving on. Yeah, so I saw that today, and initially I was kind of taken back, right? I was like, oh yeah, no, that's definitely something we should we should have a game plan for. Like, why is it taking to 2024 to realize that we should have a backup plan in case I don't know they decide to kill everybody? It's crazy, right? But here we are, 2024, right before an election, of course, and yeah, no, that that apparently isn't a thing. So I apologize for the hearing of my dog. He's been trapped in the room with me, and I let him outside like an idiot right before I started recording. And of course, nobody else in my house is going to give two shits that he's outside barking the entire time. So, yeah, lost my entire train of thought now because I'm frustrated. I was having a good time. I was nah, I'm all right. All right. So, but anyways, I was like, yeah, no, this is something we should definitely have. We should definitely have a backup plan in case things start going crazy, right? But apparently we did not. So that was my initial thought, was that this is a good thing. Yeah, we should absolutely 100% do that. But then I started thinking about it. Now, and I'm going to use air quotes here because I'm not going to say they're fake, but I just don't know that they're entirely real. But we've got a presidential candidate running for re-election, or running to be elected again not re-election because he already lost once, but he's coming back, right? We've got a presidential candidate that has apparently had 2 attempts made on his life within like what 2-3 months, right? And now we have this congressman talking about, hey, we're not prepared. We are not prepared for if anything goes down like that, right? And I really need to focus on the camera. I'm sorry, guys. I'm new to this. But, and it dawned on me, and I asked my cousin, because she works with me, well, at least in the same building as I do now. And I asked her, I said, let me ask you a question. If car robberies, car theft, carjacking, all those things were on the rise, and historically they hadn't really been a thing. I mean, we've heard of them, they've happened, but historically it's kind of like hit or miss, and it's not really a big prominent thing, but they're on the rise now. They're on the rise now. So, would you make a public statement and let everybody know that your car doesn't lock, or that you can start it without a key? Of course, the answer was no. Why would you do that? That's dumb, right? That's kind of how I feel about this whole thing right now. Like, okay, it's perfectly fine that you identify that you have a security breach problem. That's what I'm calling it, is a security breach problem. Like, it's a plan of action in security, right? So I guess security breach is probably the wrong word, but you have identified that you had a problem. That's great. Why are you telling everybody? That's the part that I'm struggling with. Why are you telling everybody? And on top of that, why are you telling everybody now? Now that it's becoming more of a popular thing, because listen, like, we get it, in the face of adversity, not adversity, I guess that's a really poor way of saying it, right? But in the reality of politicians' life, there's certain things that put you at risk, right? And so there's potential for these things to happen, but it's not very common that they do, right? And so I would say that means it's on the rise, right? And so why now, when you've got one individual who's had 2 attempts made on his life, and I'm doing air quotes because let me stop for 2 seconds and say, I don't believe that they're fake. No, I think they're real. I just think it's a matter of who's setting it up. And personally, I don't think that he was behind it. At least not the first one. I don't have anything to base that off of. So before they come bashing through my window that's blurred out, I'm just gonna leave that be. But I think you guys know where I'm going with it. And so that's why I say air quotes, because again, I'm not saying they didn't happen, and I'm not saying that he wasn't really shot at. I'm not saying that at all. I just think there's more to it. That's all. So, why now? Why now would you get out there? Because in the article, they covered a lot of things about 9/11, about the softball game that all the politicians were at in D.C., I believe it was, where the gunman opened fire and you had all this stuff going on, right? That was years ago. So why now? And what are you trying to do? So the basis of it is they want to have a plan of action where every elected official will have to select 5 individuals. And to the best of my knowledge, they get to select these 5 individuals, which that's interesting, right? But it should just be the runner-up would be that's what I would say. Like, no, don't select them. Just if you go down, the person who was right behind you in the polls goes up next, because he's the next best to represent the population in which they represent. That makes sense to me. I don't know about anybody else, but apparently they get to pick 5 people to fill in their absence should they get whacked. And they kept talking about mass casualty, and they were talking about the government wouldn't be able to function, the power would be shifted one direction or the other, and it would stay that way for several months before it could be figured out, and then they'd be understaffed. It could be detrimental to the entire process. Now, I don't know about you, but I just assumed there was already something like that in place, because that makes sense to me. Next man up type thing, next woman up type thing, right? But apparently there's not a thing. So They're going to try to amend the Constitution to have this put in there. And that's where I get worried, because I'm always worried about the stuff they try to sneak in to that type of legislation. But why now? That's all I'm saying. Why now? And on the coattails of 2 attempts, it's strange to me. It's super strange, and timing is coincidental. If you've listened to anything that I say, the timing of things is what interests me the most, and the timing of this in particular is very strange to me. So, I don't know, that's my opening thoughts on that. Now, moving on to the hoods of reality. That's right. Wear a hood for the whole thing. All right, so I typed all this up. I'm going to try to read it. But you guys know I can't read. All right? It's not enough. I'm not a good artist either, so there's not enough pictures. The hoods of reality. So, have you ever wondered if there is more to wearing hoods than just simply protection from the elements? Why is it there is a difference between the way they are perceived based on the individual wearing them? Is it stereotyping? Or is there perhaps more to it than we know or that we're willing to admit? Right? Some common themes to kind of talk about what, or try to lay some context for what I'm talking about. Teachers in particular will often criticize the wearing of hoods, obviously for distraction purposes and reasons, but also because it's seen as like a lack of attention, right? Or I know back in our day it was the headphones. You'd have the headphones in or whatever, and you could hide it with the hood, and teacher couldn't see it, right? Oh, right, you hide it all up and everything, right? And then I think it was a way that they were trying to keep the kids interactive and engaged in the classroom activities, right? So a lot of teachers in schools, it was not allowed, right? I know the bank that I use to pay my car payment, they've got a big sign that says, please remove hoods, glasses, and hats, right? I'll remove my hood, but did you see my hair? I'm wearing my hat. Interesting, right? But why is that interesting? Well, yet we have all these ideas of people in these hoods, and it's often seen as a nefarious thing, like, why are you being shady? Or it's often associated with like depression, anxiety, things like that, right? Yet monks wear them as part of spiritual practice, right? Ironically, and it's ironic to the term, to the point I made about the teachers having the kids remove it for attention purposes, right? Monks wear them as part of a spiritual practice, ironically to show their dedication and attention to God, right? So let's kind of get into that for a second. Monks wear hoods or cowls, C-O-W-L-S, cowls, for a variety of reasons, including symbolism. The hood can represent a number of things, including helmet of salvation. The hood is said to represent the helmet of salvation from the spiritual armor of St. Paul. They wear hoods to focus on Christ. The hood can help monks focus on Christ and avoid distractions during prayer. It helps them look straight ahead. The hood can symbolize looking straight ahead on the path of the kingdom of God. Protection. The hood can protect the body, of course. Warmth. The cowl can keep monks warm in cold churches. Ceremony. The cowl is traditionally given to monks during their solemn profession. Most Catholic and Anglican monks wear cowls during liturgical. I don't know why I can't say this word. Liturgical services. I should have just said services and not made a fool of myself not being able to read. But anyways, so again, these monks wear it as a spiritual practice, and it's kind of a part of it. And the things that I really kind of took away from that, right, is that it's looked as like you're separating yourself from reality, right? And you need to be a part of what's going on. But again, when I was typing this all up, I clearly knew how to spell, right? But I had my hood on the whole time, and I was focused. I was well aware of what I was doing, and nothing else was really distracting me. So that part of it, I do hold true. So when they say that they wear the hood as monks to focus on Christ and avoid distractions during prayer, I can totally see that. What I find interesting is that if that's the ceremonial practices of the monks, then why isn't that followed in the mass population? You know, do they maybe not want us to be as devout as them? It's weird. The cowl is a long hooded garment with wide sleeves that originated in the early Middle Ages. The color of the cowl is often the same color as of the monk's habit. For example, Benedictine monks wear black cowls while other monks wear white ones. I don't know why I can't say that today. But either way, it is what it is. All right, now let's get into a little bit about the hoodie. That's kind of the more, ceremonial part of why people might wear a hood. Well, let's see what the history of the hoodie is. The hoodie is history of rebellion, controversy, and tragedy. All these notes came out of the SANVT journal from December 26th, 2019. Okay, so not many garments have traversed as many fashion trends as the hoodie, aka hooded sweatshirt. However, the meaning and status of hoodies has constantly changed and been reinvented. Today you can see the hoodie on almost everybody, regardless of country or social background. Here we give a short summary of the history of the hoodie. In the 12th century, the first garment with a hood is made. I think that's wrong, personally. Like, you can't tell me that that's the first time somebody put a hood on something or wore something as a hood. I'm sorry, I don't believe that. But I guess if you have no other doctrine to really state that, like, yep, this is exactly when it happened, how do you go from it, right? In the 1930s and 1940s, there's sweatshirt innovations to the hoodie. Right? In the 1960s, the hoodie is as a collegiate fashion, so for like your track runners, your wrestlers, things like that. In the 1970s, the rise of the hoodie really started to come full force with the help of Rocky. Of course, all these things, this only happened because of American ideology. All right. In the 1990s, hoodies become commercial, thanks large in part to the success of hip hop and urban styling in particular. Right. By 2012, there's the controversy continues. Right. And that was referring to the Trayvon Martin thing. Right. And then if you listened to the intro to this, where I was talking about, is it a stereotyping thing? That was a big part of what happened with that young man, right? Is that he was being, the guy said he viewed him as threatening, and bang, bang, and a teenager dies, right? There's probably a lot more to it than I care to really go into. I know there's a lot of back and forth on it, and I'm not here to discuss the right or wrong on that. That's just what happened, right? So a kid was viewed as a threat mainly because he had a hoodie on, and one thing led to another, and the young man ended up dying. So that sparks some stuff, but nowadays it's a versatile everyday classic to include this. All right. And so with that, that's where, hold on, got to text the wife real fast. That's where the history of it kind of stops. Now let's look into some psychological benefits of hoods. Some articles state that a hoodie is the go-to choice for teenagers who are concerned about their perceived flaws in their physical image. It removes them from unwanted attention, hiding the imperfections they believe the world will judge them for. All right, so a lot of people, what is it, body dysmorphia or something like that, similar to that, I think. They say that a lot of people wear them for those reasons. I could kind of see it because, depending on the hoodie that I'm wearing, I look thinner or I look buffer, right? So I could see that. I don't know if that's the only reason, though. I think a lot of it's it's the style. Like it kind of just comes in and goes out, right? I don't know. But some more psychological benefits of the hood. It's used as a way to deal with anxiety as it focuses your attention to what is in front of you. And it's comfortable. Many people just find them comfortable, obviously weather related. Some people, like this one that I'm wearing, it's lightweight, so I feel okay in it right now. But when it was still about 85 degrees outside, it was pretty warm. Yesterday I was outside with the daughter playing basketball. I was sweating pretty good. So it's not going to keep you warm in a winter storm, but it's going to protect you from the sunlight, and I don't know, so comfortable. Personally, I believe it can signal to leave me the hell alone. I don't care to be bothered with the outside world. So if I'm walking around I got my hood up. Like, I'm not interested in the shenanigans of everyday life. That's what I think it symbolizes for me personally. But social perceptions. Well, whether we want to admit it or not, hoods can be perceived as nefarious in nature. Similar to masks, people tend to be cautious and suspicious of individuals wearing hoods. Arguably, racial stereotypes and perceptions can play a role in this too, much like the argument if you dress and carry yourself as an individual that mimics the appearance of those committing the majority of crimes, you end up being associated with those people, whether that is who you are or not, right? Is it fair? No. But the world is but that is the world, is it not? Right? So all kinds of stories about police being called due to suspicious individuals, and then to find out the only thing that made them suspicious in the first place was the fact that they were wearing a hood. So it's definitely something that puts people in a situation where they feel like they have to watch you, right? I'm gonna move off camera and take a drink of this, by the way, because I don't have any sponsors. Excuse me. But where do we separate it, and why? Why is it if I'm carrying a holy book and wearing a hood, no one will question it? But if I'm wearing a hood in my office while typing the notes for my podcast, people think there's something wrong with me. To be honest, similar to sunglasses, the hoods take a lot of the outside light away from my line of sight, and it makes it easier on my eyes. And this is my personal reflection on this, right? I don't know. I have sensitive eyes. And, it's obviously probably the result of numerous things, explosions and head trauma and things like that, right? But I have very sensitive eyes, and this blocks a lot of glare out. It focuses my eyes. It is what it is, right? But the older I get, the more I appreciate a good hood. A good hood, if I'm being honest. I've changed my outfits to lighter fabrics with hoods so that I can avoid some direct sunlight and still remove myself from distractions. At a gym, you'll see people in hoods and headphones. This is normal, but a student in a classroom with a hood is defiant. I understand the distraction part, but I can get into a plethora of reasons kids are distracted that a hood is the least of my concerns. I've done I've done some volunteering with the elementary school, and you know what? I probably would have took them just putting a hood on and listening to some headphones, right? So, it is what it is. So where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line in the sand on what is socially normal and what is not? The sign at the bank that tells me to remove hats, hoods, and sunglasses out of fear I may rob them. That's all based off of, who's robbing banks these days? But if I walk around Walmart with my hood up, people just get out of my way because they think I'm weird. But the bank, hands up, right? Bottom line is that it's interesting that something that was deemed ideal for spiritual practice because of your ability to focus has been twisted into a form of disassociation, fear, and mystery. Perhaps this is why. The occult connections, right? Perhaps that has something to do with the imagery displayed by occult practices and groups. Oftentimes you will see ceremonies performed by individuals in hooded cloaks. This is oftentimes associated with satanic practices and sacrificial ceremonies. It should stand as no surprise that this would create a level of disgust in a world dominated by the Abrahamic religions. However, if you look at the ceremonial clothing of those institutions, by the fundamental followers especially, then it makes me wonder if there's actually something to it. Because for all intents and purposes, if this is associated with, all those occult things, the satanic element, all that stuff, why on earth would the prestigious of those groups wear it in their ceremonial stuff? Right? Is it simply tradition, or is there an underlying spiritual benefit from having your head covered? Some suggest that hoods affect the vibration of one's energies and thoughts. Depending on the material of the hood, as they each vibrate differently, it may have an effect on the overall effectiveness of things such as meditation. Some suggest that a hood increases intuition and protects us from negative energy. Now, certain Abrahamic religions believe that women should cover their heads to represent submission to God and subject I'm trying to read my own notes here. I'm telling you guys, I don't understand. Oh, okay. Should cover their heads, comma. That's what I forgot. To represent a submission to God and subject to another as well. Yet men are encouraged not to cover their head, to show that they are immediately subject to God. Which is interesting, because if you look up why a monk wears a hood, you know the people who devote their lives to their faith, like their entire lives, they take vows and all this stuff. If you look up those people, it will tell you that the symbolism is to represent their dedication to God and prayer. So this gets back to what I was saying earlier about like why are the most devout of the faith in their ceremonial practices wearing these things? But they're telling you to take it off. Is there maybe something to that? I mean, is it one of those things where like if we harbor all the knowledge, we'll be the kings, right? Is it something like that? I don't know. To jump way out into the conspiracy side, I mean way out there. What if the disdain for the hood is because the powers that be, the theys of the world, right, want us to be more easily influenced by the negative energies and nature of the world? Going back to the idea that they can protect us from negative energies. What if they've created? What if? Right? What if they've created this negative mindset about the hood? Because they want us to be influenced by the negative stuff that they're putting out there. I don't know. Maybe if we all just wore hoods, we'd be better people and things would progress in a more suitable way. I ask this because of my own personal realizations with wearing a hood. 1. I do feel more focused. I do feel less distracted. I feel like I can more easily determine the energy of a room because I'm more focused on it. I feel calm and I feel present in the moment. I'm not distracted. Some of the negatives, I do feel as though I'm less approachable. I don't feel like I'm very approachable anyways, but I do feel like if I have a hood on in particular, because my wife says that I have the eyebrow, and when I'm frustrated, this eyebrow is always up. Apparently, it's like my subtitle for my face. So I don't feel like I'm very approachable anyways, but I do feel like if I have a hood on, it's even less so. I feel excluded in a way from the rest of the world, like I'm shutting myself out from things. I don't know that that's always a bad thing, but it probably is sometimes. And sometimes it's hot. Like, that's the negative, right? So in conclusion, I say perhaps there are benefits to hoods that, given the right discipline, can help the individual out tremendously. Clearly, there appears to be a psychological reasons for people wearing hoods. So the next time your teenager or preteen is walking around in the summer with a hood on, maybe take a second to check in on them instead of just jumping to judgment. Perhaps there are very real spiritual benefits to be gained by wearing a hood during practices. If there wasn't, then why would the poster images of what we consider to be devout followers do it? But the bottom line is this: it's a personal choice. Unfortunately, we have to navigate through the social norms that have been tied to the clothing and be prepared for potential judgments because of that. But perhaps there is no benefit to it other than personal comfort, whether that be spiritual, emotional, physical, or a combination of all those things. Regardless, the hooded attire has been around for a very long time, probably long before 12th century. Just throwing that out there. It's the go-to article of clothing for the devout in terms of spiritual practices. It's the go-to article for the sad, the cold, the nefarious, and hip-hop influenced people all over the world. That is what it is. But that's a little bit of history about the hoods, the hooded reality that we live in. That's where we're at. It's very interesting. I mean, it's interesting to think about. And just so you guys know, once I started on with the after the history part, I started with psychological benefits. That's all my writing. Just so you know, okay. Typed that myself. All right, ballin'. I still can't read it. But no, it is interesting. It's interesting. I'm not I'm not really sure why it's not a more prominent thing, to be honest. I don't know. I guess it's like I was looking at this thing earlier today, and it was talking about how other countries in much hotter places have historically kept their buildings cool, right? And that the West could benefit from applying some of those practices, especially with all the issues of energy and stuff like that, right? And as I was watching this, kind of going through it, like I kind of had this realization that we'll never do that because we don't want to be associated with them as Americans, in particular, right? Um, you can never, mud walls aren't going to be a thing here, um, because it's just been deemed this lesser than us idea, I guess you could say, right? Even though it could be completely practical. Like I don't even have a fence. I have a chicken wire fence and some pickets that I've pounded into the ground, right? It'd probably be way more beneficial to me to have that for my dogs than what I have. Um, but it'd just be looked at weird, right? And so I wonder if it's something like that. Like head coverings and things like that we associate with countries that we don't like. And so even though it makes maybe some practical sense, right? Because again, I've been protecting myself from the sun. That's been the whole point of it. Um, I'm not getting any younger. Well, that's not true. I think I'm reversing. I'm trying to reverse, trying to be more active. But no, like I'm not getting any younger. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to take better care of myself and stop abusing my body, so that it hopefully will take care of me for several more years to come. Right? um, so I don't know. It's definitely interesting. I don't really agree with the negative perceptions, especially with the kids wearing them. You know, I don't know. Like I like to check out of the world too, just like they do. I can't fault them for that. The problem is when we end up stuck there, right? And I think that's probably the biggest downfall is it's easier to get stuck in it, right? So who knows? We'll see. Um, yeah, very interesting, very interesting. Hope you guys liked it. It's a little something different. I'm trying new things here. All right, just trying new things. I gotta find my focus to get more back into this, and I'm never gonna find it unless I'm doing it. So, it's been a while since I put one out, and I don't know. My biggest argument was equipment. My computer just wasn't fast enough for the modern programs. It just kept lagging and freezing up. So the wife pretty much forced me to stop using that as an excuse, and she told me to buy one for my birthday, and that's what I did. And even though it was hard because it was money I didn't want to spend, let me rephrase. I have no problem spending money, but there's certain things I don't feel like I need, and that was kind of one of them. But hey, I mean, here we are. It's working out, and it's definitely better than what I had. So I'm glad to be back into it. Glad to be back into it. I've still been doing the sports thing. If you guys are interested in sports, especially high school sports, at least in the 3 schools that are around me, because that's all I've been able to cover so far. USB, unaffiliated sports broadcasting. Go ahead and check that out. It's kind of fun. Just giving a shout out to high school football players. It's fun. It's a good time. But I want to get back into this. This has been my passion. And I know that's a weird thing to say because I'm so inconsistent. And, I think there's a lot of reasons for my inconsistency that I don't really care to get into right now. But I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect, and neither is anybody else. And, I struggle with my own things too. And so sometimes I've got all the motivation in the world, man. And then, other days I just kind of want to disappear. If you get that, then I'm sorry. If you don't get that, read a book about it. Yeah, I don't know. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I'll do my usual that I haven't done in a while, so it's not usual to me anymore. But if you want to find us, follow the show. Facebook, facebook.com/average discussion. On Instagram, average discussion. On X, oh, formerly known as Twitter, not that X, sorry. At AVG discussion. I'm on Threads, but I don't think anybody's on Threads except for posts that come from Instagram. So it's on Threads, but if you want to follow me over there, if you're somebody, if you know how to navigate that and actually use it, please reach out to me and let me know. For all other things, if you want to reach out to me directly, you can obviously message me on any of those platforms. If you'd like to be a part of the show, I need your email. So I think I'm gonna try Google Meets. I think a lot of people use Zoom, but I think Zoom would be better personally. But I haven't figured out how to save it to my computer yet. So until I can figure that out, I think I want to use Google Meets. But I want to get somebody on here now that I have a computer that can actually keep up. My other one was just gonna lag. So I need your email if you want to be on the show. And you can email me directly at averagediscussion@gmail.com. That's also where you should send all your death threats and hate mail, because I'd hate for it to get missed, because I'm not always on the socials. But if you'd like to be on the show, I need your email. Send it to me. Message me on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. And let's set it up. Let's start talking. Why not? What else do we got to do except for pay taxes and die? So... no other point. Oh, did you see I gotta do some more research into it, but did you see that we might be getting another moon? Yeah. That's crazy. All that and more on the next episode. Hey, thanks for being with me, guys. Hope you, oh no, I definitely can't forget this. As always, please take care of yourselves. Please take care of each other. And until next time, I'm out.